messages, which I love. And that's what I liked about Worthy, the positive energy, and the guitar lines were kick butt. And of course, your voice is just anthem-like. I mean, I'm going to let you know, I don't know, off or on record, but basically, I remember driving around through the snowy weather in New York City, and I turned the radio, or no, it was a CD someone gave me, and I hear your song, and I went crazy. I just cranked it. I was so happy to hear that message. The whole thing was phenomenal. So I want to thank you for you and the band for writing it. And I want to ask you something. With Disciples of Verity in this song, Worthy, it's the same energy from Cult of Personality, although it's metal. It's got that raw, real, in-your-face message. And to release a single like this now in today's world, compared to when you guys came out with Cult of Personality and your other songs in the 80s, how is it different for you?
Nah, I really don't see much of a difference. As long as you're trying to say something, that's what I like about music, is that you're able to say what you feel and put something out there that's, whether it's positive or negative, it's a great delivery system for emotions.
Yes.
And feelings.
What about industry-wise? How has it changed for you with this band as compared to, back with Living Colour?
Well, Living Colour and any band in that time period was reliant on a record company for everything.
Mm-hmm.
For, to make sure the record got to wherever it needed to get to, and distribution and all sorts of stuff. Those kind of ideas are slowly, they haven't completely gone away, but they're going away. And it's very fan based, which I really enjoy. That people, it's not pushed upon you. You go out and discover it.
Okay, yeah. Along with that exposure, there's a lot of music coming at everyone, right? So, how do you? I know that you feel, and I agree with that someone out there's going to resonate with your sound and your feeling, and I agree that I get what you're saying there. I want to know, how did you get with Corey Pierce and Danny Puma? Because I know how you met up with George and Mark, that they were together and you liked their sound and you came over and you're hanging out and then you guys did that. But how was it with Corey and Danny?
Well, when you're working musician, you meet everybody. You go everywhere. And you meet a bunch of people. I've known Corey for a very long time, just in and around the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny, I'm not as familiar with, but again, I've met all these folks on the road or in and around particular clubs and so on.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Out in LA or New York City?
In New York. New York, New Jersey.
Okay, cool. That's cool. I was wondering, how are you balancing with Mike Orlando in that project? Like, how does that work with your time?
That's great. I love Mike Orlando, and I love doing that project. He's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player.
Yep.
And we're writing some really, really interesting stuff. So
I can't wait to hear it. I really can't. He's great. Amazing. He's phenomenal. What I wanted to know is so how does your time go with when you do? Because I know you have your hand in a lot of things. So how do you balance it? So how does the time frame kind of work for you?
It's there's 7 days in a week. There's always time for something.
Yeah.
Right. It may not work out completely perfectly, but like I said, there's always a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. All right.
And to get things done, this requires some desire to get it done.
Okay. Yes, I agree. Wanted to go back. I want to take you back to the 80s. I'm sure everyone does this with you, but I wanted to ask you something about a cult of personalities defined by writers. It's a social and politically manipulating or using the media sometimes to create change or control a group. If you literally analyze that, not that you have to, but there's different perspectives on it and different writers have written about it. And so I wanted to know about, as far as our political climate now, how are you seeing a cult of personality and what's going on in our country right now.
Everybody knows what that is. They know where it's coming from. It's not hard. It's not hard to tell.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I don't have to tell you what it is for you to know what it is. I'm not. I'm not going down that road right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
All right.
it's there. We all see it. We all know it's there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. There's nothing that we haven't. There's nothing we haven't seen before. Actually. So
No. Well, but
what's very interesting about Living Color is that a bunch of the stuff that we did back in the day and the stuff that we've done recently all have come to pass. Open Letter to a Landlord is still Open Letter to a Landlord. A song like Pride or Desperate People, the Opioid Crisis, all that kind of stuff is in our music and has been in our music forever. If you want to know what's going on in the world, that's what we do. We want to know what's going on in the world, and we report what we see and what we understand. Mm-hmm. So a song like Cult of Personality, from a song like Cult of Personality to a song like Glamour Boys, it's all happening, and it all has happened.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back in history, there's always been the rise and fall, and there's always been different types of people in charge. I get what you're saying. Is that correct? Am I hearing you? It sort of cycles a little bit.
Everybody at some point or another has had their time in the sun, and with it comes an inevitable fall from grace, and that happens all the time. And that's what Cult of Personality is about. It's about good, bad, or indifferent. It will always occur in some point in time.
Yep.
And if the time is right, somebody will show up and decide that they are what this world needs, whether they want it or not. And sometimes these people are right, and sometimes these people are wrong. Most of the time, they're wrong.
Yeah, I get what you're. What I want to have. I want to interject something about that. When we in the '80s, right? You're doing music. Did you feel the media was as much in your face, or as you did?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I mean, maybe not to the degree it is now, but the media has always been. It's a part of why we know what we know. We wouldn't have this information if it was not for the media. We demagogue the media constantly when it's our main source of how we know where we are in the world. If not for the media, we wouldn't know we were on a globe circling the sun. If it's not for media, we wouldn't know where we are in the world. So it's always been there. It's always been there in one form or another. Maybe you feel like we've been inundated with it, but so did the people who first got a telephone. So did the people who
radio, TV,
radio, all that stuff. Yeah. It's always been said that there's too much of one thing or another.
Yeah,
and
tis better to know. Tis better to have it's better to be exposed than isolated, though, like islands,
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now, listen, I wanted to know your messages and your songs, and I've heard you talking about being worthy and Middleman and why you wrote that. When did you feel, what age could you honestly say, I know after Platoon you felt differently coming back into the music arena. When did you somehow have something click in you where you felt like, you know what, I know myself more now. I finally feel like me here, so.
I think that's more of the point. I'm still discovering who I am, and the best way I figure that out is where I am in the world and how I get through the world.
Yep.
And it's not about me knowing who I am or having a better understanding of who I am, but that comes with time.
Mm-hmm.
What I really need to do is figure out why I am where I am, as opposed to why I am who I am.
Okay. I mean, I think
that's much more interesting to me.
Well, I mean, being educated about yourself is important. I would think. I mean, but I don't know how many people can piece together what's going on around them to relate to that if they don't have an understanding. And you seem to have that sense of yourself, you know. And I don't know if it's every 10 years we take a look at ourselves and we know more or experiences. So I guess I sort of wanted to know how that's changed for you, you know, now with a new band and, you know.
Well, I take whatever experiences I have with me to wherever I go.
Mm-hmm.
So what I know from bands is what I know from being in bands. What I know about understanding my worth in this world is from being in this world.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot. It takes living to know where you what you are.
Hopefully.
Can't do it in a vacuum.
Hopefully people are conscious. I mean, I think, like, I run into some people and, you know, it's great to be conscious. It's great to be aware and awake. And I think I can always kind of recognize that in someone. I don't judge it, but I understand what you're saying as far as being a part of your experiences and that can shape you as well.
Right.
Speaking of which, when you're on Platoon, I wanted to ask you something that I've always wanted to ask actors, and I like getting their take on it. You're on this big set, okay? And you know how it is. Like, you go into the trailer, you get out of the trailer, then it's your scene, and then you've got to get back into character, and maybe you're on the way to the scene, and someone may be stopping you, and they have something to tell you or give direction or whatever. I'm always wondering, how in hell do people, from the time they're in their trailer, go do their big scene and focus that much and be able to do it without, like, needing a few minutes, or if they get distracted on the way from their trailer to the main scene?
Oh.
Did you have that happen?
Not with Platoon. Because Platoon, we were in the jungle. We stayed in the jungle. We lived in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
We were part of the jungle. There were no trailers. This was not Hollywood.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
We didn't do any of that stuff. We went from scene to scene. We shot it in sequence. We didn't. So when characters died, they left. They went home.
Wow.
So you felt the loss of having somebody who a couple weeks ago you were hanging out with, laughing and giggling, and a couple days later they're gone.
Wow.
They can, you know. So that was very different in terms of how things are, how we did things with that particular movie.
Mm-hmm.
Other movies is different, but that one, in that movie, that's how we did it.
Wow, that's cool. And yeah, I know that changed you. You were saying that whole survival mentality and coming back into your life and then not taking as many things for granted because you felt like you were really in it, right? Is that true?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were trying really hard to, you know, it was hard to live that life of even coming back home to, I'm wearing it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's out here, but, it was hard to, you know, in a small part, it was almost like PTSD. Like,
wow.
kind of shell shocked.
Yeah.
By how you saw the scourge of what war can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were actors. We're pretending at it.
Mm-hmm.
But we lived like I said, we lived in the jungle. We had basic training. We had weapons training. We did all this stuff. And then we were there for 3 months. So I was there for 3 months. And then all of a sudden you're thrown back into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not the bugs or the bombs or anything else, and you feel very different about where you are and who you are.
How did you,
at that point?
Let me ask you, like, if you were walking down the road, how long did it take for you to adjust? And, like, did it ever happen where you're walking down the road and you hear someone's car engine or a motorcycle? And
no, I mean, it wasn't that.
Not that bad.
It wasn't that severe.
Okay, good.
But it was it's a very strange juxtaposition to be sitting in a foxhole in the middle of the Philippines, and then a week later, you're on the 3 train going up to 42nd Street. You know what I mean?
That's wild. I can't even imagine. It's such a culture. It's such a shock. Like, yeah, can't. But like you had, I believe in some interview, you said, well, that probably was how these young men felt, and I thought that was very, very. I mean, that was pretty sage because yeah, I mean, they think it's going to be, they glorify it maybe in their mind. Then they get out there and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we went into it thinking, this movie, that particular movie, it's taking forever to be made. It's going to be a low budget sort of situation. We were expecting it to have the issues that we had. But what they were trying to do is make it as realistic as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had to be in it.
Yep. That's great in a way. I mean, it gets the emotion out of you guys, so. Right.
And it makes for better performances. And makes for that. I think, the story that was being told was very interesting. That some actors sort of rolled up and took sides in the same way as the characters did in their characters did in the film. Right. So it was very interesting.
It sounds like an incredible time in your life,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I wanted to ask you, so do you get to speak to Vernon Reid and, these guys on and off, and do you ever talk about maybe down the road doing more together, or are you just so busy with your part?
Living Color still exists, and we still play out. We still go do stuff. So I talked to Vernon yesterday.
Cool.
I talked to Will this morning.
That's cool. That's great.
We're still a band. We're still, we go out and play.
What about, but are you going to make new music with each other, or are you doing what you've done? I mean, that's what I kind of, cool. Love it.
Make the record, and then there's making the record, which takes forever and a day because we tend to get very micro with it and try to figure out all kinds of little nuances and subtleties that we need to figure out.
How do you guys let go? Because you've already done it. Like, that must be interesting to come back as a group. And then, you've already done so much, and you've made these amazing songs that people love, as Anthems. Do you think it's because, are you expecting to do something like that, or could it just be, we're going to throw this out? Of course it's going to be.
We're all, we're musicians. We're not trying, we're not, by evidence of our longevity, we're not hit makers. We're not, we are musicians who like to play.
Yeah.
And we more like to play the music than actually the process of making the music sometimes. It's like, I got you. We try to find the subtleties within the songs that we already have, and that takes a long time, and then add new stuff to it every other time. It makes it very different. Mm-hmm. Some people go out and all they want to do is write songs. I don't know if we want to write songs as much as we want to play.
Oh, well, I understand. You guys. Writers. The performance of it is what you guys enjoy, and
indeed.
Yeah. I mean, I think every band has a different way. There are bands that splice stuff together. There are bands that jam and figure it out, or they do a combination. So I hear what you're saying. How you guys approach it. Now, when you go out, and now even with Disciples of Verity, do you find how do you handle a fan who's approaching you like you're some messiah? You know how they get. So how do you handle? Have you ever had really strange fan interactions
that's strange fan interactions with people, but you approach them like you would approach anyone else, and you talk to them like you would talk to anyone else.
Sure.
And hopefully they realize that you're just as much a human being as they are. Basically that's sort of like what Worthy's about. It's like, if you're worthy, I'm worthy to am I worthy enough to talk to? Am I worthy enough to be? I'm worthy enough already to be here. I'm here.
Right.
I exist.
Yes.
So I am somewhat worth the time. And so when you're talking to people, what music is trying to talk to people. So it's a communication thing. It's a conversation that you're having.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. You hope everybody's on the level and treats everyone like that, especially so many meet and greets, and I guess, and I believe that's what the meet and greets are for as well, to get to actually speak to the people, you know, and I've heard of stories of people giving like instruction during a meet and greet about, yeah, you know, it's cool. I love that. How old are your sons now? How are they doing?
My sons are fine. They're teenagers now. They're in high school. They're great.
Yeah, that's great. Do they ask you anything about things out there? I mean, it sounds like you had so many people growing up who gave you, like your father and people who gave you this amazing advice. And with so many people in your family, it seems like it was kind of cool that you, besides all being exposed to all that music, that there were messages that were very deep about education, about...
Oh, yeah.
That's great. I mean, I assume you go to those pearls of wisdom for your kids as well.
I'd have to. You know, it would be kind of silly of me not to,
right?
Not to abuse my own family.
Yeah, hopefully
with the things that I've learned. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so do you now? I want to know: are they interested in music or no?
Kind of. They're not particularly. You know, they appreciate music and they play a little bit and that kind of stuff, but I don't see them turning it into some sort of career right now. That's not where they're at with it right now.
That's
like
cool.
It's a great tool for them to express themselves, and which is what I've always told them that's what it is. It's how I speak, it's how I communicate, and how I tell people how I'm feeling whenever at any particular point in time in my life. So that's what it's for. I didn't set out to do this because I wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
I wanted to be a musician
and an actor, right?
Well, I wanted to be a performer and I wanted to be an artist.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being a rock star and being an artist.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, speaking of being an artist, so then what do you, this versatile artist, what do you listen to? What are some things like right now, if on your playlist you would show me what's on it?
You know, I listen to music very rarely now because there's so much music, and I listen. Sometimes I find myself going back, and then I hear some new stuff that I think is very, very interesting. And then nothing in particular. I'm not as much a metalhead as I am a hip hop fan.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not as much or a jazz fan. That Robert Glasper record I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Kendrick Lamar record was Simple Butterfly I think was great. I also like Mushroom Head for some strange reason. But, so,
no, I understand that. I get that. That's cool.
But I see it all for what it is. It's an expression of emotion.
But it seems. I hear what you're saying.
Go on. I'm sorry.
But it seems to me like I don't even know if you realize that that some of the things that you've named, like the musicianship, is just really solid. Like it's not. I mean, I came from jazz background, music, and all that stuff, and my ear is sort of because of everything I've been exposed to as well. Your ear doesn't even realize why. Maybe when you first go there, and then you're like, oh yeah, look at those changes. Like I don't even. Like, you don't think about it going in just to listen. You're listening to enjoy it.
Right.
But, it sounds like your ear, because of things around you, if you're exposed to that much growing up, I would venture to say that even though you probably like the jam band, I could see why you would like elements of a lot of things,
Yeah, and, I love, like, not just because they're friends of mine, but the guys in Lettuce and the guys in Galactic. All of those folks, are amazing musicians and amazing artists, and that's what I enjoy about being around them and hanging out with them and playing with them.
Who have you met over the years that you were just really, that was some interesting running into people that you were like, wow, I mean, we're actually meeting this person and having a conversation. This is really interesting and cool.
It's very rare that I get caught up in celebrity. And what I really want to do is get into a real conversation with them and not sort of like geek out over who and what they are.
Well, even to that, like just having a discussion about music, because.
Well, that's a great thing. When you talk about your art and you have a passionate conversation with somebody about their art and how they express themselves.
Right.
That's much more interesting than the fact that, know who Steven Tyler is. Yeah,
no, I know. No. Well, if I met him, I'd be asking him about the musicianship for sure.
Right.
And,
it's like, what was it like? What were your early days like, and what were you trying to say with those kind of things? And
right.
How did you navigate this world with children and rising fame and all this other stuff is not as important as who they are right then and there, because they're a culmination of how they got there.
Well, now I hear that your kids were on the road with you back and forth, and how was that for you?
Oh, it's fun. They're my friends. My kids are my friends, so it's like hanging out with my buddies.
Cool.
I'm not, and hopefully they're learning something, and hopefully they're getting some sort of real sort of education about it.
Yep.
But I am, they're out there with me because, they are people I enjoy being around.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that so if I ask you three things besides family, I know you're going to bring it up, that grounds you, would you say, what are some other things that you feel grounded in?
I feel grounded that I exist. That I exist in a world where I can go from, South Florida to Maine to Italy to France to Japan and do all these other things and still be me.
Yep.
And that's very, very important to me, that I can circumnavigate the globe and take from it things that will help me enhance who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's great that it's everything you've done. Do you agree it's taken also, do you think it's happenstance when somebody gets to where you've gotten, or do you think it's courage? Do you think it's courage?
It's courage, and it's ambition.
Yeah.
You have to have some ambition and be very steadfast in what you're saying and why you're saying it, how you're saying it, to the point where people actually hear you.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for people to hear you. People, and to recognize themselves in what you do.
Yeah. I wanted to, words can't even explain. I know that I'll hang up and I'll say, no, because I know you hear it all the time, but I can't even tell you how much your songs, when I hear the way you sing and the way you emote and the strength, it really, I just say it's a gift to everybody as an anthem. It's just not anthem. That sounds like a cheap banner. You're not a cheap banner. I'm going to get teased for saying this later by people, I know, but I don't care. I just want to tell you, when you sing, I just feel it in my gut, and I love it. I love that you come from the gut, and that it's like, you know what? Bam, here it is. And this album, it's because it's metal, obviously. You get to do all that, like you get to really let it out. What other songs? I mean, tell me some things with Disciples of Verity coming up, and when is the album release date? I know it's not a concept album. I already heard somebody ask you that.
It's not. I don't know if it's a concept. It's not really a concept album. I'm not particularly clear as to when the whole album is coming out. I know other singles are coming out pretty soon.
Cool. Can't wait.
And but it's much more. I think the rollout of this record is very, very interesting, and that songs have resonance with people, and that's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I'm only a part of this thing. I'm not the be all and end all.
Come on. Yeah, but
it's true. I'm the tip of the spear. That's
true.
Sure.
And I love you I love how you have the teamwork spirit, and it's everybody makes it. I get what you're saying, but come on. Honestly, Cult of Personality, like you had to, whatever it was supposed to be, you had to be the one singing that song.
Well,
you did.
The song in and of itself was created in a collective sort of manner. And I think what I do is just as important as the drums and the bass line.
Of course.
And,
yes.
Which it's a combination of all those things that make it work.
Did you know the first time you recorded it? Did you in your heart go, this is going to be
that song was a hit the first time we we actually finished writing it. We knew that song was
Where are you,
song.
Corey? It sounds like you just went underwater. Where are you?
No, I'm outside.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, we knew after we wrote it, it was going to be a good song.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good song. It was a song we wanted to play over and over again. It's fun to play. It's fun to do. That was our indication. It was like, this is a song we wanted that it's going to be. This song could be huge.
When Vernon,
that was our.
Now Vernon wrote like all the lyrics, right? Vernon Reid?
He wrote the lyrics. He wrote the lyrics to that song.
Okay. Okay.
And we all, I came up with the riff sort of, and we all sort of collaborated on that, and we collaborated even on the lyrics as well. The concept and the idea of what it was initially Vernon's, and then we all sort of expanded on it.
What about Love Rears Its Ugly Head?
Love Rears Its Ugly Head was definitely a Vernon Reid thing. It comes from the mind of Vernon Reid. But why these songs work in any given circumstance?
Yeah,
because we all can relate to it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And if we can relate to it, hopefully an audience can relate to it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
with that, it makes the song what it is.
But the melody, who wrote the way you sing that melody? Who wrote that? Oh my God! Love it. I go crazy. I can't listen to that song without just, oh my. So that song. All right. So yeah. Okay. I'm done fanning out. You don't need that. Tell me. I'm trying to be cool. Tell me. So what else do we need to know about? Like, where does the tour start? What's going on? Tell me all about Disciples of Verity.
We haven't gotten any tour dates just yet. With Disciples of Verity just yet, but I'm sure that something will come up in the next couple of months or so.
Okay.
We'll go out and do some spot dates maybe and play some places and see how it goes.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we're just out here promoting as much as we possibly can.
Love it. I also want to know, okay, so not that you do like millions of projects or anything. What else is going on for you? Like you said,
I'm doing the Mike Orlando thing.
Yep.
I am working on a bunch of stuff. Stuff musically and theatrically, and I got my plate is full.
No one's saying it has to be.
Nothing I want to talk about. Yeah, nothing I want to talk about in any kind of real way just yet. A lot of it's still in the theoretical stages of it, and discussing it with other people and figuring out what we need to do and how we need to do it.
Okay.
But I got a lot of work that I have to get done. I'm going back out with the Celebrate Bowie thing.
Yep.
In January and parts of March, and so I got a lot of stuff I'm doing.
Now, the Bowie experience, when you work with these musicians who have recorded and done so many things with him, and you have them, and you're like, it's a thrill. I know. I just, we all are never gonna know. I mean, to us, he's this. I mean, he's an artist, and so. Did they share anything about his process or about how he enjoyed music, or have you gotten to know more about Bowie through doing the Bowie? So what are some interesting, just not because of, it's David Bowie, but more like you're saying, I mean, just generally the artistry of it. I mean, we know it from his works, but.
Well, he was very much into experimentation, obviously, and he really enjoyed sort of, working a song so it couldn't be worked anymore, and looking for every permutation of how the song could make itself known. That if you listen to demos of some of his early work, some of the stuff he did with Nile Rodgers, the demos sound nothing like what we know of as the song.
Really,
the song sort of like took on a life of itself, and that was very much his thing. Like he wanted the songs to go out as far as it possibly can, and see how far it could go,
but without it falling apart. That seems awfully open. Like I know Billy Joel has said of his writing that your songs are your children, and I think he had said that once, that they go out into the world. So how much do we let them out there without I mean, you can control some things. Maybe in your mind you have the format, or maybe you hear the guitar again and again. It's not that you wouldn't let the guy try and, hey, let me hear what you come up with. That's cool. But it sounds like he was just like, here, take it. Is that kind of
Yeah.
wild?
I love that musicians had a different take on it, and that they would be willing to experiment with it as it occurred, and taking sounds and ideas. I mean, the level of musicians that he worked with, from Reed Cabral to Earl Slick to
so many
to Jerry Leonard and all these folks
yeah.
That were really into stretching the boundaries of what the music did. Carmine Rojas, obviously, is a solid bass player. Sterling Campbell and Omar Hakim and all these other musicians, that it let them be who they are.
That's
within
great.
This, like, this is not my music. This is what you do with it.
Excellent. I wonder how long, if you're doing a process like that, artistically, like how long he had it going on for. Like, let's say it's a 10-song album, or I wonder like how long that took, because if you're being very receptive, how are you funneling it down? It takes time,
Well, like I said, he was such a prolific kind of guy. He'd write these songs, keep them archived, and give them to the band and say, see what you can do with it, see what happens. Give it to the producer and see how it works, and see how far it can go until it gets to a place where everyone's comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's so great.
That makes a lot of sense.
What do you feel of all these legends, that we have? I mean, I feel like the last 5 years, I'm just keep saying, what? There's goes in. And I don't want to say legend and be all, but I'm just saying, like, people whose music really, put a brick in the wall. Like, they were some of these great building blocks of music.
Yeah, well, we have to, yes, these people were legends. But they have to move on and make way for other people.
Sure.
Vivaldi was an incredible musician, wasn't he?
Wow.
But he couldn't live for 1,000 years.
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yep.
It's sad that some of these people are gone, but their music lives on, and the idea of how music is made and what music does for people will never die.
That's true.
And that's what makes them and their music legendary.
This is true.
They found out how to tap into the idea that this is a magical thing that you're doing, and it will stand the test of time. It will last longer than you ever will.
Yeah.
Cult of Personality will last longer than I ever will. But what's interesting about it is that the idea of what Cult of Personality is will last. It has been around before me and will be around after.
Oh, yeah. You said that earlier. And I like how you pointed to history. And I mean, I think everybody gets so caught up in the present and the drama and all that, and then they forget that things cycle and that things have sort of always. There have been wars. There have been so many things in history. It's not as if all of this, every part of it is new. I guess things just get taken so far. What I'd love to see is people coming together across the aisles, people through music, through anything, and as many ways that we can do that. Because
the thing about music is it's like life. It can bring people together. It can separate people. So, if you think about music as like Billy Joel or whoever that was said, as children, think of them as adults. Think of the adults that and how they think and where they stand on particular issues, and you'll find the music that'll speak to them about that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, it's true. You have a very. I like to listen to how you see things through the lens that you look at it through, and see things that are going on. I don't know if your band members get into these discussions because you guys hang out together or not. Make it about the music, or I guess it just depends on the group of individuals hanging out together. But I wanted to. There was a question about what are some things do you have some causes through music that you would want to work through, or you just simply don't have time, and that's okay too? I just am curious.
No, I truly believe that music, as well as any kind of art form, is an educational experience.
Yep.
Like, you can learn just as much about the world that you live in as much as you can learn about reading, writing, arithmetic, social studies, and any other STEM curriculum that music and the art can teach it to you. That you can learn about how to. Music is math, for example, but music is also it is also English language or language arts. It's also, it's also historical and has a very social studies aspect to it. Because if you think about when the song was done and where it was done and the context in which it was done, you can learn history. It's all there. Hey,
speaking to that. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No. And that's much more important. That's a cause that I champion all the time. That you can learn. You can learn your basics through things that you enjoy.
Yes.
That if you like, any kind of music, that it can give you some real context as to the things you have as a student that you need to have as a student.
Yep. I think there is a I guess, higher order thinking. I don't mean it in a sense of, someone better than someone else. I think that music, just like the arts, enhances, and that we have got to keep it in the curriculum for students to keep it well. Just like sports, everything is well-rounded and it's all part of the pie, and I don't think we need to clip any parts out. I hope that it stays the way it was when I was growing up, where no one even would think about cutting the arts out of part of the whole body curriculum, I wanted to, so I can't wait to hear from you guys and get some singles off, and hear the singles. I can't wait to hear about the tour dates. I know you're busy, and I'm so grateful that we had the time to talk today. And thank you so much for just being you, and
no problem.
We really
can't be anybody else.
Well, some people try to act like that, but don't get very far. It's better to be yourself. But yeah, it's great to talk to you, Corey, and I wish you guys the best, and can't wait to hear from Living Color, from Disciples of Verity, and just whatever you're involved in. I'm looking forward to listening and hearing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now.
Take care.
All right, talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I just love his voice. That's all I'm going to say. This is Abby from True Rock Revival, and we're coming at you with Corey Glover from Living Color and Disciples of Verity. So stay tuned.